In this video, I'm going to be discussing Amazon's new low inventory level fee that is happening in March through April of 2024 is when this is going to be implemented, because Amazon has to start calculating these things and getting the fees to be applied to your account once the April fee changes take place. Now, I have done a prior video on the full update for all of Amazon's 2024 fee changes, which included a lot of information on the low inventory level fee. However, I wanted to make a specific dedicated video just to low inventory level fee because they've added more information since I did my first video. And with that, I want to make sure that you are aware that this can change. Amazon 1 week from now may have even more information and more clarification on the low inventory level fee. So we will be going through the breakdown of the actual page from Seller Central. That link will also be in the description so that you can access that in your own seller account. But before we get into that, I do want to make you aware of the contest that I have running on this video and pretty much every other video that I do for a chance to win a copy of my best-selling book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income. Now, all you have to do is leave a comment down below and also subscribe to the channel. Then tune into the next video to see if you are the lucky winner of the book. Now, let's go ahead and get into this low inventory level fee. Again, I will say this can change and has already changed 1 week after I did my initial expansive 45-minute video on all of the fee changes. So we are going to go through this point by point. I do want to make sure that you are aware, though, that with Amazon's recent changes, a couple highlights, they have actually reduced fulfillment fees on every single ASIN starting in 2024. I discussed that in the other video. They are also coming out with inventory placement fees for some of their shipping, and you can also get reduced fees with that. So there's a bunch of other changes. If you'd like to see that, Amazon has that here at amazon.com/selling-fee-changes, and you can go through all of the changes there. But specific for the low inventory level fee, let's go through this. Effective April 1st, 2024, a low inventory level fee will apply to standard sized products with consistently low inventory relative to customer demand. Now, they do say the reason is because it inhibits their ability to distribute products across the network, degrading delivery speed and increasing their shipping costs. And so they're trying to pass that on to us as sellers. Now, here's what remains to be seen. The more that I go through this, the more I actually do think that this is going to be on a seller SKU level. Originally in my video, I thought it was going to be by ASIN, and that still could be the case. Amazon has some confusing language in this policy that we'll be going through, but they are adding more information regarding the individual seller sell-through history. And so that's why I think maybe it is actually going to be a seller SKU basis instead of an ASIN basis. Now you can see here that this low inventory level fee will only apply if a product's inventory levels relative to historical demand, known as the historical days of supply, is below 28 days. However, as we'll see here, they only charge this fee when both the long-term historical days of supply as well as the short-term historical days of supply for the last 30 days are below 28 days or 4 weeks of supply. So for example, if a product's short-term is above 28 days, but the long-term is below 28 days, the low inventory level fee won't apply. Now, they're doing this because they know that there are going to be products that sell out much quicker during different seasons. So you might have a ton of product 90 days out, but then you have some sort of really good sale, or maybe it's Q4 or some seasonal event happens and you sell out of that product. Well, they aren't going to charge you extra fees during that 30-day period if you go below the 28 days of supply, if your 90 days of supply is at a good and high enough amount. So I kind of appreciate that they understand that things can fluctuate, and so they are giving us some other opportunities. I do not like, though, that they would potentially still charge this fee at all. Obviously, any extra fee is going to be difficult. This will also be difficult for profit calculators, even Amazon's, to be able to accurately predict profitability if this is on a seller SKU basis. Now, if they do it based off of a per ASIN basis, where it applies to every single seller, then this may actually give us, some more clarification on the actual profit issues that we would see from a rev seller, an ASIN Zen, or other profit calculators. However, they are leaning, and what I'm thinking is they're leaning much more towards the seller SKU basis. And so let's continue to go through it to see how this will apply. So again, this will be on the standard size products. And they've got shipping weight for small standard, large standard, and again, large standard, depending on the weight of shipping. You can see that if the low inventory level fee were to apply based off these two parameters we just went through, that they will charge more money per sale, depending on how much you have available in your account for historical days of supply. So 89 cents would be small, 97 cents would be large, and $1.11 would be for even larger in terms of weight. And then you can see if you've got 21 to 28 historical days, then it's a lower fee there as well. So to determine the fees, first determine a product size tier and then its shipping weight. They talk about that. You can find that information on a per ASIN level if you need to. Now, how can you view the historical days of supply metric to determine if you have products that are subject to this fee? So you can actually go into your FBA inventory, and there's now a column that says historical days of supply. They also have some information for where they want you to be at from a minimum amount of inventory for you to meet whatever that metric is. Now, the good news is if you're not able to keep up with the demand, that means you are selling too much versus what you're able to actually keep in stock. But the problem is if you're doing something like arbitrage or wholesale or even private label, and you're having trouble getting more stock because maybe there's stockouts or the price has changed and now you can't get enough at a profitable price. Well, Amazon is now going to be penalizing sellers for that. And so that is the concern that I have from an arbitrage and wholesale and even private label standpoint. And if you're having trouble getting products, that ultimately you're going to be penalized for that. But again, if you can't get enough products to meet the demand that Amazon is having for what you are selling, then you can start raising the price to offset this new fee. That is what I'm going to recommend. And I think that repricers will soon follow, that they'll be able to see, okay, they're not getting enough stock, so this new fee is taking place, so we are going to raise the price so that then as they sell out, because again, this is based on sales velocity. As a seller sells out, we will be able to raise the price to make up for that demand, so to speak. And so I'm not as concerned from that standpoint. Again, we will see how this plays out, but I want to continue moving forward. That is where you would see this in your FBA inventory page. It's a column. It's very easy to notice. And if you can't see that, then make sure to click on Configure Columns so that you can add that into your Seller Central FBA inventory page. It is calculated at the parent product level. So if you sell anything with variations like shoes, clothing, anything that maybe has bundles or multi-packs associated with it, it will be based off the parent product level. So all the child products related to the same parent product will have the same historical days of supply. My concern with this is that if you're selling a variation of a shoe that is size 13 and it's kind of an odd size, maybe a larger size that doesn't sell as much, but you have to meet the inventory levels for a shoe that is a normal size, like a size 10 or 11, then in those cases, Amazon may penalize you with an extra fee. But I will add, again, if it is an odd size, typically people are paying more for that odd size, so the dollar fee may not make a big difference or whatever it would come out to be for this. Probably, it'd probably be $1 here, 70 cents or 36 cents, depending on what that comes to be. But again, this parent product level thing could become problematic depending on the variations and the child variations that you choose to sell in your own account. Now, which products are eligible for this? It only applies to standard size products if the historical days of supply is less than 28 days. We've talked about that. However, if you are a brand new seller, so this is a question I get a lot, is that, oh, I'm a new seller. How am I supposed to even know how to do this? New professional sellers, for the first 365 days after the first inventory received date, so if you started your selling account 4 months ago and you haven't sent anything in, they're going to count it after the first inventory received date. You will not have this low inventory level fee applied to your account. So this makes me, I guess, more sure that this is going to be a seller SKU basis and not an ASIN basis, because obviously if it was an ASIN basis, then this would apply to everyone, not just the seller. So again, I'm thinking now it's more of a seller SKU basis after seeing some of the other updates and enhancements. If you have new to FBA FBA products, even if you're an advanced seller or a longer term seller past 1 year, the new products won't count for the first 180 days. So that's something to be aware of. And then anything that's auto replenished by Amazon warehousing and distribution for most arbitrage and wholesale sellers on my channel, this won't apply. Now, how will the low inventory level fee be assessed? This will, again, apply once the long-term and the short-term historical days of supply are below 28, and they will use the greater of the long and short-term historical days to determine the fee tier. So if you have a long-term historical days of supply of 25 and you have a short-term of 14, they're going to use the 25 to establish which one of these tiers that you're going to be in. Now, if you were at 35 for the 90 days and 21 for the 30 days, they're going to go based off of the 35 for the 90, and you won't be charged a fee at all. So that is good news. You at least have some time to make up some ground if you need to, but still, it will be unfortunate. We will pretty much all get hit with this on some level, depending on how our sales are for the products that we're selling, and depending on how well we can restock the inventory. So here is an example. This product incurs the low inventory level fee because both long and short term are below 28 days. You can see the size tier, you can see the shipping weight, and so the historical days of supply, 24, they're doing the greater of these two, is which tier this product would be in. And so in this case, it'd be 36 cents per unit for the rate of the 21 to 28 historical days of supply, because it's using the 24 here. And then the total new FBA fulfillment fees is this. This will be a pain, I think, for profit calculators, repricers, and Amazon themselves, although Amazon's built out all this functionality, I'm sure, and are ready to apply this to sellers. Now here's example 2. This product does not incur the low inventory level fee because long-term historical days of supply is at or above 28 days, while the short-term historical days is below 28 days. And so because long-term is over 28, there are no fees applied to this. We've got 40 days of long-term historical days supply. Now, example 3 is going to be this product does not incur the low inventory level fee because short-term is at or above 28 days, while the long-term is below 28. So again, this will have no fee. Even though the long term is below 28, the short term is above 28 and is at 35. So there is no fee applied to this. This will be updated on a weekly basis, by the way. Now, what metric is used as the basis for the low inventory level fee? They will use that historical days of supply, as we mentioned. That is a new column in your inventory, FBA inventory management page in Seller Central. You can see that, and you can see how they calculate it based off the daily average inventory units on hand divided by the average daily shipped units to customers, I believe. Not how much you're shipping into FBA, but the amount of orders and units shipped out on an average daily basis over both the long and short term. It will only apply to a product when both its long and short term are below 28. See the definitions for daily inventory units and daily shipped units, and you can see all of that if you'd like to work through this information. Again, the link for this page is in the description if you need that. Now, for long-term historical days of supply past 90, we're looking at over past 90 days for this formula as average daily inventory units divided by average daily shipped units. So if you had an average daily inventory of 243, average daily shipped of 5.8, that means you're shipping out about 5.8 per day, then your long-term historical days of supply would be taking this number divided by that number, and you get 42. And for the short term, again, this is just over 30 days. Amazon gives you this information on that FBA inventory page, by the way. 220 divided by 12.6 gets you a 17.5. Now, in this case, the 17.5 would be under 28, so you would have a fee. However, the 42 being over 28 means you would have no fee if this were the same ASIN. So that is good to know because there are times when these things fluctuate pretty heavily. Now, they will show one historical days of supply metric on your FBA inventory page, and it represents the greater of the long-term and short-term historical days of supply, which is what is used. So in this case, they would show 42 as your historical days of supply because they would use the greater of the two. They're going to show that on your FBA inventory page. They will also show the details, though, for your reference. So if you want to see what your short-term versus long-term is, you can see that. And you can see here they kind of describe what I just went through. Now, the historical days of supply metric is calculated at the parent product level, so all child products related will have the same historical days of supply. The metric will be updated weekly, and the latest available historical days of supply will determine the fee rate for units shipped that week, which is a little annoying, honestly, but I wish it was a better metric. But the fact that they're updating it weekly means that we can also more quickly get rid of that fee if we send in more products. Hey, before we get back to me going through all of the low inventory level fee changes, I do want to make you aware of a free Facebook group that you can join where we discuss these things consistently, regularly. We go through updates and we kind of work together as other sellers. And there's over 70,000 sellers at the time of this recording in this Facebook group. It's called the My Silent Team Facebook group. And you can actually check that out at bit.ly/MST group. That link is below and in the description. Also, if you're an advanced seller doing over $10,000 per month or have been selling for over a year, I highly recommend checking out my Business Building Legends community for advanced sellers to learn, grow, and scale. You can do so at askjimmysmith.com/legends. That's askjimmysmith.com/legends. That link is also below and in the description. If you're interested in joining advanced sellers, a community with over 70 standard operating procedures to grow and scale your business, you can do so at that link below. Let's jump back into the video and go through these fees. Now, how will this impact specific products? This gets crazy. It kind of looks like, brings me back to calculus and math class whenever I was, in high school. But ultimately, we've got the low inventory level fee only applies to a product when both happen, below 28 days. Different products with different sales value may be impacted differently by the fee. However, you can minimize or avoid the fee by sending in additional units such that the product's short-term historical days of supply exceeds 28 days, or by managing your product's long-term or 90 days historical days of supply. So this is what is much newer in the page since I did my fee breakdown last week. And this is the thing that I'm most concerned with because they are giving more examples. And this to me has told me this will actually probably be applied on a seller SKU basis. But I'm kind of back and forth because it seems very difficult for them to do so, but I think it applies because of these things. So standard products. Below is an example of a car accessory with sales that range from 25 to 30 units per day. This product does not incur the low-level inventory fee as the product's historical days of supply is consistently above 28 days. In this case, the seller opts to maintain 45 to 55 historical days of supply or 6 to 8 weeks of supply to avoid the fee. And you can see how they calculate it, which week it is. This is March 4th, March 11th, March 18th, etc., all the way to May 27th. They show how many inventory units, they show how many weekly sales units, and then they show you the average daily inventory, average daily shipped, and the historical days of supply for the trailing 90 days. And in each case, this is the long term. And so we've got 90 days, all above 28. And this is the short term. Again, this is a trailing 30 days, so the short term, all above 28. And then they give you the historical days of supply, which is the greater of the trailing 30 and 90 days. So in this case, 90 days here was 35.8. 30 days was 53.8. Well, they're using 53.8 as the metric that they're going to show. And so there is no historical day supply below 28. Nothing will kick in for the fees. Now, this is a seasonal product example. And I appreciate this because a lot of people, especially right now, as the time of this recording is middle of Q4. So this will affect people in seasonal products. But the historical days of supply being above 28 days before and during peak months when considering the product's trailing 90-day performance. However, in mid-February, the product's historical days of supply falls below 28 given low inventory levels. In this case, the seller sells 730 units annually, with 44 units incurring the low inventory level fee, or 6% of the units sold, for a total estimated fee of $20.26, or 3 cents per annual unit sold. They're just trying to make this look good, but ultimately, it's a $20 fee. Now, as you can see here, we've got the historical long-term days of supply and then the short-term. Well, with the long-term, there's a huge amount of supply because they were gearing up for this seasonal time. And then whenever it gets down to this level, we fall below that 28 days. And so we're at 26.9. You can see in this February time period, February 18th, this product hits 28, and for the short-term hits 10. And so we're at 26.9 for because it's taking the longer-term amount. And so on all of these weeks after, yes, the fee would apply because there's not enough inventory in to make up for the demand. And so they would sell out with each size tier having its fulfillment fee applied for each sale. And so it gets a little convoluted, but ultimately what Amazon is trying to show that if you sell seasonal products, you will not have many fees early on. And then once the demand really hits and the numbers start to dwindle, you're going to then get hit with these fees further on down the line, even though the majority of the time you didn't have these extra low inventory level fees. Again, this remains to be seen for me how this will affect arbitrage sellers and how Amazon is going to calculate these numbers and actually apply it from a fee perspective. But if you are a wholesale or private label company that deals with a bunch of seasonal things, this could be something that affects it for you. Now, products with promotions, it's essentially the same thing. They're showing an example of an electronic product on a Prime Day deal. And although sales are higher during Prime Day, the seller does not incur the low-level inventory fee on Prime Day because the historical days of supply is above 28 days, given the trailing 90 days performance of the product. Now, the trailing 90-day metric ensures that the seller does not incur that low-level inventory fee based on sudden increases in demand. The metric accounts for sellers' long-term inventory performance. And so, again, this is all the math. You can see that there's a bunch of stuff happening here, and they get a lot of product in on this date, and they are selling quite a lot of units on these particular days as well. And so there are no fees applied because even though at this point we've got 12 as the 30 days trailing supply, this is showing 27.3. So actually I would think that this would apply. So Amazon put no here, but it's below 28, so it should apply. I'm not sure why they're saying it doesn't. That's very interesting to me. All these other ones are taking the higher of the two numbers, and so is this, but it does fall below 28, so I would actually think it would apply here. To me, that seems a mistake on Amazon's point, unless they're rounding up somehow, but they did not say that. Anyway, because here short-term shows 13.7, long-term shows 29, you wouldn't have a fee applied. I do believe you'd have one applied here, even though they put no, but ultimately that is another example that, again, a high amount of demand does not mean you're going to have a fee applied. It just means that you might in the future if you don't restock enough and the historical days of supply dwindles. And then low sales volume. Here's an example, actually, I think, from an arbitrage type product. A book with sales that ranges from 0 to 3 units per week. The seller does not incur the low-level inventory fee because the product's historical days of supply is consistently above 28, as the seller maintains up to 5 units in inventory, which is much more than weekly sales volume. So this would be an average replen seller. They've got 4 units in stock, 3 units in stock. Again, they got 3 here, 1 and 3. And so you can see their average daily inventory units. Average daily shipped is 0.04 in a lot of cases, and then the historical days of supply is pretty high on each of these. So it would not apply because of the slow amount of sales that happen for that particular ASIN. Now, anything that goes out of stock, you are not charged any fees for. Obviously, when the product has no fulfillable inventory in Amazon, if you were to send in more product, then that's when it would start to apply once that product gets sent in. Although if you send in more than what's required to avoid the fee, then you wouldn't have a fee to worry about in that particular instance. And then they talk about the greater. Why do they do the greater of the two numbers? And the reason is it enables you to minimize the fee by recognizing the recent improvements made to a product's inventory levels. As a result, the fee only applies to products with consistently low levels of inventory. So I think that that's at least fair. If you're going to charge this fee, that is the fair way to do it. I wish that they didn't do this, but we will see how this ends up playing out from an arbitrage standpoint. Parent product level. Now it says some variations of a product have uncertain demand, making it difficult for you to optimize your inventory. By calculating the metric on a parent product level, we only charge the low inventory level fee when most child products under the parent product have consistently low inventory. So they're basically going to aggregate all the child products and say, all right, well, if all of these have consistently low levels of inventory, then it will apply to each child product. That actually makes me think that it is an ASIN level, not a seller SKU level. So again, This is the confusing part, but something that makes me think it won't apply to all the seller SKUs. It'll apply to the ASIN instead. Maybe it will just apply to variation ASINs and not as much to seller SKU ASINs. I'm not sure. Or maybe Amazon's not even thinking of arbitrage sellers with this, and they're only thinking of private label sellers that have variations that they control the inventory much more. And then it talks about how you can minimize or avoid it. I think we've talked about that plenty of times regarding how to avoid this fee. And then how do these different things relate to each other? I don't think that this is something that we need to be concerned with, but ultimately minimum inventory level in your FBA inventory is a forward-looking metric measured in units that helps you to plan for your future FBA inventory replenishment. They leverage Amazon's inventory management and machine learning models to tailor minimum inventory levels to each product, considering factors like demand and replenishment settings. Keeping your inventory above this minimum level helps increase delivery speed and reduces your risk of low inventory fee. And so you can go there to learn more. Ultimately, the historical days of supply is backward-looking metric measured in days and measured in the amount of sales that you have. It is used as the basis for the low inventory level fee. Products with low historical days of supply have consistently low inventory levels in the past and will be subject to the fee. So the minimum inventory level is something that Amazon has on the FBA page to essentially tell you what you should be restocking at. And that will, in my opinion, that will be what they're saying. Hey, you need to send in this amount of units so that you can then avoid this historical days of supply. And so we'll see how that ends up playing out. But that's what it looks like right now. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Again, the link for all of this change and this low inventory level fee is going to be in the description for you. It will link out to Seller Central, and you can log into your Seller Central account and see all the information here. It does seem to update weekly since this changed in the last week. So hopefully this helped kind of go through it with you. Please post your questions and comments below, and actually doing so would enter you in to win a copy of my book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, as well as if you hit the subscribe button and tune into the next video, you will see if you were the lucky winner. So post your questions below. If you're looking for a community, by the way, of sellers that discuss these things openly, and it's free, you can check it out at the My Silent Team Facebook group at bit.ly/MST group. That's bit.ly/MST group. And hopefully that can direct you to the right place. So thank you so much for being here. I hope this video helps you and blesses you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.